Mark Twain Selected Works. Letter from Mark Twain. All About the Fashions. San Francisco, June 19th. Editor's Enterprise. I have just received, per Wells Fargo, the following sweet-scented little note, written in a microscopic hand in the center of a delicate sheet of paper, like a wedding invitation or funeral notice, and I feel it my duty to answer it. Virginia, June 16th. Mr. Mark Twain, do tell us something about the fashions. I am dying to know what the ladies of San Francisco are wearing. Do now tell us all you know about it, won't you? Pray excuse brevity, for I am in such a hurry. Betty. P.S. Please burn this as soon as you have read it. Do tell us, and she is in such a hurry. Well, I never knew a girl in my life who could write 3 consecutive sentences without italicizing a word. They can't do it, you know. Now, if I had a wife and she... However, I don't think I shall have one this week, and it is hardly worthwhile to borrow trouble. Betty, my love, you do me proud. In thus requesting me to fix up the fashions for you in an intelligent manner, you pay a compliment to my critical and observant eye and my varied and extensive information, which a mind less perfectly balanced than mine could scarcely contemplate without excess of vanity. Will I tell you something about the fashions? I will, Betty. You better bet you bet, Betsy, my darling. I learned those expressions from the Unreliable. Like all the phrases which fall from his lips, they are frightfully vulgar, but then they sound rather musical than otherwise. A happy circumstance has put it in my power to furnish you the fashions from headquarters, as it were, Betty. I refer to the assemblage of fashion, elegance, and loveliness called together in the parlor of the Lick House last night. A party given by the proprietors on the occasion of my paying up that little balance due on my board bill. I will give a brief and lucid description of the dresses worn by several of the ladies of my acquaintance who were present. Mrs. B. was arrayed in a superb speckled foulard, with the stripes running fore and aft, and with collets and camails to match, also a rotund of Chantilly lace, embroidered with blue and yellow dogs and birds and things, done in crewel and edged with the solferino fringe 4 inches deep. Lovely. Mrs. B. is tall and graceful and beautiful, and the general effect of her costume was to render her appearance extremely lively. Miss J. W. wore a charming robe polonaise of scarlet ruche à la Vière, with yellow fluted flounces of rich bombazine, 14 inches wide, low neck and short sleeves, also a Figaro vest of bleached domestic, selvage edge turned down with the backstitch and trimmed with festoons of blue chicory taffetas. Gay? I reckon not. Her head-dress was the sweetest thing you ever saw. A bunch of stately ostrich plumes, red and white, springing like fountains above each ear, with a crown between, consisting of a single fleur de soleil, fresh from the garden. Me. Miss W. looked enchantingly pretty. However, there was nothing unusual about that. I have seen her look so even in a milder costume. Mrs. J.B.W. wore a heavy, rat-colored brocade silk studded with large silver stars and trimmed with organdy. Balloon sleeves of nankeen peak gathered at the wrist, cut bias and hollowed out some at the elbow. Also a bournois of black Huntington lace, scalloped and embroidered in violent colors, with a battle-piece representing the taking of Holland by the Dutch. Low neck and high-heeled shoes, gloves, palm-leaf fan, hoops. Her headdress consisted of a simple maroon-colored sontag, with festoons of blue illusion depending from it. Upon her bosom reposed a gorgeous bouquet of real sagebrush imported from Washoe. Mrs. W. looked regally handsome. If every article of dress worn by her on this occasion had been multiplied 7 times, I do not believe it would have improved her appearance any. Miss C. wore an elegant chevaux de la reine with ruffles and furbelows trimmed with bands of guipure around the bottom, and a mohair Garibaldi shirt. Her unique headdress was crowned with a graceful pomme de terre, Limerick French, and she had her hair done up in papers, greenbacks. The effect was very rich, partly owing to the market value of the material and partly to the general loveliness of the lady herself. Miss A.H. wore a splendid Lucia de Lammermoor trimmed with green baize, also a cream-colored mantilla-shaped pardessus with a deep gore at the neck and embellished with a wide grec of taffetas ribbon and otherwise garnished with ruches and radishes and things. Her coiffure was a simple wreath of sardines on a string. She was lovely to a fault. Now, what do you think of that effort, Betty? I wish I knew your other name. For an unsanctified newspaper reporter devoid of a milliner's education. Doesn't it strike you that there are more brains and fewer oysters in my head than a casual acquaintance with me would lead one to suppose? Well, what I don't know, Bet, is hardly worth the finding out, I can tell you. I could have described the dresses of all the ladies in that party, but I was afraid to meddle with those of strangers because I might unwittingly get something wrong and give offense. You see, strangers never exercise any charity in matters of this kind. They always get mad at the least inaccuracies of description concerning their apparel and make themselves disagreeable. But if you will just rig yourself up according to the models I have furnished you, Bets, you'll do, you know. You can weather the circus. You will naturally wish to be informed as to the most fashionable style of male attire, and I may as well give you an idea of my own personal appearance at the party. I wore one of Mr. Lawler's shirts, and Mr. Ridgway's vest, and Dr. Wayman's coat, and Mr. Camp's hat, and Mr. Paxton's boots, and Jerry Long's white kids, and Judge Gilchrist's cravat, and the Unreliable's brass seal ring, and Mr. Toll Road McDonald's pantaloons. And if you have an idea that they are anyway short in the legs, do you just climb into them once, sweetness? The balance of my outfit I gathered up indiscriminately from various individuals, whose names I have forgotten, and have now no means of ascertaining, as I thoughtlessly erased the marks from the different garments this morning. but I look salubrious, B, if ever a man did. June 21st, 1863.